Loaded show ahead here on Warriors today. First up, we got Brandin Podziemski speaking out on the trade rumors that have involved his name this offseason. Then the Warriors' second-round draft pick, Quinten Post, he remains unsigned right now, so we have an update on that, the most likely scenario as to what the Warriors do with his contract. And then Steph Curry with Team USA over in Paris. He speaks out after he struggled big time against South Sudan. Is he cold? Is there any reason to worry? We're going to talk about it all on Warriors today. But before we do, we lost the July sub battle. We came in second to these frauds right here at 76ers now. So that's why I'm challenging them. We're going head to head this month in a sub battle. I want to make sure that Jake Chipper and 76ers now know that Dub Nation is bigger than ever, that we're growing faster than ever, that we're the fastest growing channel here on YouTube. So hit that subscribe button, youtube.com/WarriorsTV, and let's beat those 76er frauds in the month of August. Tyler Smith here coming to you on Warriors Today by Chat Sports. And the first topic of conversation today, we're talking Brandin Podziemski. And Brandin Podziemski himself is talking about the trade rumors that have surrounded him during this offseason. Obviously, the Warriors have been involved in a Lauri Markkanen trade discussion, and Brandin Podziemski's kind of been at the center of those discussions. Let's give you a quick recap of what the whole situation is with Brandin Podziemski and where his name has been thrown around this offseason. The name has been at the center of Lauri Markkanen trade talks this offseason, right? The Jazz have kind of signaled in and honed in that Brandin Podziemski is the player that they're targeting back from Golden State as the key young piece that would be sent to Utah in a deal for Lauri Markkanen. Now, Golden State has been unwilling to include Brandin Podziemski's name in any trade offer to this point. So it's important to note that they have high praise for their young player that they drafted just last year. And he's received public praise from the Warriors owner Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, the GM, Cooper Flagg, who is the presumed number one pick in the 2025 NBA draft, said he was his favorite teammate over on the Team USA Select team. And so Brandin Podziemski had some words to kind of explain his feelings, explain what it's like for a young player who just played his first NBA season to kind of be involved in big-time trade rumors during the offseason. Here's what he had to say. It's very fun for me, actually. I love it. It's cool to see different things every day, people's comments, if I should be traded or shouldn't be. For me, from a basketball perspective, social media aside, I try to put that away and just work on what I can control right now. And I'm glad to see such a positive attitude. I know I'm kind of repeating myself from yesterday's video, right, where we talked about Buddy Hield having such a positive attitude coming to be a part of the Golden State Warriors. Well, it's nice to see Brandin Podziemski kind of echoing that same attitude here with his name being dangled in trade talks, him not knowing where he'll be playing next season. I'm glad that he's got a good head on his shoulders and that he's having fun with it, and it seems like it's something that is not really bothering him too much. And I think it's a good thing. Everything that's happened so far with Brandin Podziemski's mindset as well as the Warriors front office's mindset, because he has the franchise behind him now as a cornerstone for the foreseeable future. If they're thinking about a guy who's going to be taking over for Steph Curry, kind of carrying the mantle there after him as the primary ball handler for the Golden State Warriors, it's going to be Brandin Podziemski, and he's primed for a big sophomore leap. He put up good numbers last year. We'll talk about them in just a second, but he looks like with the work that he's been doing this offseason, he's been in the gym a ton. He's been playing for Team USA Select, so he got to play against the best competition that there is on planet Earth. And he played some time in the Warriors Summer League to kind of keep the juices flowing, keep that competitive edge, and just get out there and play real simulated action. Here's what he had to say continuing on about the trade rumors that he's been involved in. He said, "No one likes to admit it, but everyone sees the good and the bad. For me, I think the bad can just be used as motivation. Obviously, my name has been in the Markkanen trade a lot, so if the trade doesn't go through and I'm still here, to have a good second year and be like, quote, good thing we didn't trade him would be cool for me." So Brandin Podziemski is feeling very cool because he's had a very cool last couple of months here. Back in May, he was named to the All-Rookie First Team after a pretty solid first season, kind of being the one young player that Steve Kerr depended on day in and day out, playing close to 30 minutes a night for Golden State and only increasing as the year went on. He was named to the USA Select team back in late June, so that was the team that would go scrimmage against Team USA, the team that's competing in Paris right now with Steph Curry on it. Him and Trace Jackson-Davis were a part of that group. July 12th, his teammate, Cooper Flagg, calls him the favorite teammate because he was getting him involved so much, always looking to make plays for his teammates and finding the open man and not playing selfishly. And July 17th, Joe Lacob called him a future All-Star while watching him playing at the Summer League. And you can kind of see that coming to fruition based on what he did in his rookie season. He averaged 9 points a night, 6 boards for a 6'4" guard. He was always crashing, always trying to make plays in the basketball game that didn't necessarily affect the box score that would keep him in the game for the foreseeable future. And that really earned the respect and earned the trust of head coach Steve Kerr to be able to play him big-time minutes. 3.5 assists. Obviously, as a rookie, that number is going to be fairly low just due to the amount of time that he's been playing. But I expect him to have a larger role, more usage this year, and get that number up. And he's been, every highlight I've seen this summer from Brandin Podziemski has been a flashy pass or getting his teammates involved. So definitely expect that number to increase. And then his efficiencies from field goal and three-point are very solid. I mean, as far as what a rookie's doing, a 38% clip from three on a decent volume, I think I'm very proud of Brandin Podziemski for making that, unit, and I think he can improve upon it in his second season in the league. And he kind of talked about the praise that he's received throughout this whole process, and he called it a stamp of validation, kind of something that gives him a little more comfortability, a little more calmness on this Warriors roster to know that they believe in him, and they understand that he's going to get a little bit more of a green light this year, and that kind of just makes him more comfortable, be able to flow a little bit more free on the floor with Golden State and really play his brand of basketball, which is a beautiful one. So I'm very excited for Brandin Podziemski. I want to know if you're excited for Brandin Podziemski in year two. If you are, go on and spam pods down in the comments. It's a nickname he's been throwing out there, because I'm not going to lie, Podziemski doesn't roll out off the tongue a crazy amount, so spam those pods down in the comments if you're excited for year two of Brandin Podziemski and to see what he can do next to Steph Curry and company. All right, next up, we have the Warriors' second-round draft pick, Quinten Post. He still remains unsigned as the calendar flips to August, and yeah, he hasn't signed a contract yet. It's kind of interesting to note that he's not really going to be a draft and stash player. This isn't something that happens completely too often, but the Warriors have made some moves that have kind of limited this coming to fruition. So to give you guys a little bit of exposition here on the Quinten Post situation, he was introduced at a July 12th press conference. So it is in kind of set in stone that they are bringing him onto the roster in some way, shape, or form this season. That's not something that they would do for a guy that they're drafting, stashing, or a guy who we won't see in a Golden State uniform for 2, 3, 4 years. He, according to Anthony Slater of The Athletic, he said Post would occupy a 2-way contract, but Golden State just signed a Summer League standout, Daquan Plowden, to a 2-way contract, and that was the last 2-way slot that they had open. Now, the Warriors Fansided Network, Blue Man Hoop, did note that the most likely scenario for Quinten Post is that he ends up taking Warriors undrafted free agent Reese Beekman's 2-way contract. Unfortunately, Reese Beekman didn't perform too well in Summer League, and he suffered an injury while playing just his second game, so didn't get too much action there. And hopefully that opens up a roster spot for Quinten Post here. But there is a conspiracy brewing as to why this could potentially not have been, deal done yet. Why Quinten Post has not signed his contract yet. There is a conspiracy as to why this could be the case. I want to hear from Peter O'Keefe here from Blue Man Hoop as to what he thinks could be a possibility. He said, everyone acknowledges that if Golden State are to trade for Lauri Markkanen, it will almost certainly be a deal where they send out more players than they bring back in. That could leave them with 1 or 2 extra roster spots available, and hopefully the financial capacity to sign a couple more of those players to fill those positions. Perhaps that's why there's been no confirmation of Post signing a 2-way contract yet, because the Warriors have promised him a standard guaranteed deal if a trade takes place. The franchise may need to sign a player for the cheapest possible contract, of which Post would fit the bill as a late second-round pick. I still have hope that a Lauri Markkanen trade is possible for the Golden State Warriors. Could this be the reason that they haven't signed Quinten Post to a contract yet? Probably not. But there is that possibility still out there because, with the depth they have in the front court right now, you might want to sign Quinten Post to a standard contract. And with him being a late second-round pick, it might only require you paying him about $1.1, $1.2 million a year on the deal. Trayce Jackson-Davis being the 57th pick in the draft last year, he made $1.1 million. So that might be a scenario where Golden State needs to pay a really cheap contract. But Quinten Post at Boston College last year was your typical stretch big, got a bunch of rebounds, scored a bunch of points, and shot the pill at a completely on fire percentage. 43% from three for a 7-footer. Keep in mind, the guy was taking 5 of them a night, so it wasn't like this was a one-off or something you didn't see completely often. It was a big part of his shot diet, and then to still maintain a 51% field goal percentage is pretty stellar out of Quinten Post. Now, what would he bring to the Golden State roster? We've talked about this. We showed you this graphic a couple weeks ago, but he's a knockdown shooter at 7 foot. And we've been talking about a Lauri Markkanen trade this entire offseason. Well, we have Lauri Markkanen at home. Not really. But he is a 7-footer who shoots the three at a high percentage. That's something the Warriors really haven't had in their arsenal for a long time. I can't remember the last time they had a big stretch big like that. Good touch. He can thrive on the short roll. He really excelled in the pick-and-roll game at Boston College and is just an overall smart player in those situational scenarios. He can attack closeouts and get to the rim. So when a defender is closing out hard on him, he knows how to give him a jab step or a ball fake or a shoulder fake and get past that defender and put the ball on the deck and get to the rim, finish at a high clip. And he can run dribble handoffs well. I mean, as far as this Golden State offense goes, dribble handoffs should be the middle name. And Quinten Post has been very adept at making those actions favorable for the offense, beneficial, and making the offense have the ability to get good looks. Also alter shots at a high level at the rim. I mean, he's a 7-footer. He averaged over a block a game last year at Boston College, so you can kind of see for yourself here as to what he can do rim protection-wise. But Joe Lacob, Mike Dunleavy, they did say they had some concerns about him on the defensive end. They did say everything on the offensive end was pretty good, though. I want to know from you guys, though, do you think Quinten Post sees rotation minutes in the 2024-2025 season? If you think he does, if you think he cracks Golden State's lineup, type Y for yes. If you think Kevon Looney is a guy who potentially will still be slotted ahead of Quinten Post for all of, if not most of this season, type those N for no's down in the comments. I want to see where your head's at if Post is going to crack the lineup or not. Next, is Steph Curry cold for Team USA? He had a pretty abysmal performance against South Sudan this week, and he had some comments about it thereafter. We're going to detail those in just a moment. But speaking of Steph Curry and Team USA, I need to get you guys hooked up with the freshest deal out there. Steph Curry Team USA jerseys, and this could be the only time that you ever get them. Steph Curry hasn't played in an Olympics before. At his age, being 36, 37 years old now, he's not going to be playing in one again. So it's looking like this might be the only opportunity for you guys to get some fresh Steph Curry Team USA Olympic gear. Chatsports.com/CurryUSA to get yours today. They have it in the blue. They have it in the white. Just use chatsports.com/CurryUSA, and I'll put that in the comments and description of today's video to make it easier for you guys. Go get yourself some Steph Curry Olympic merch. Has Steph Curry gone cold in Paris? Now, that is the corniest rhyme that I've ever heard in my life, but I put it out there, and it's on the internet forever. Who cares? Steph Curry had a abysmal performance against South Sudan in the Olympics, and he addressed this performance and how he can improve upon it and what he has to do to improve upon it. And let's just get right into the numbers here because they were awful. I mean, this is about as bad of a Steph Curry game as there's ever been at any level of basketball in his entire life. 3 points, 4 assists, 1 for 9 from the field, 0 for 6 from 3. He was 0 for 4 from 3 in the first half. And I put personal fouls on here because I thought this was something to note. You never really see Steph get in foul trouble, and with the Olympics only having a 5-foul limit, Steph nearly fouled out here. He had one of his 3-pointers actually blocked, and in transition, he had a shooting foul on the other end. So it really seemed like Steph Curry was playing through a bit of frustration with a shot not falling, and then on the defensive end, it carried over. And it's uncharacteristic for Steph Curry to be throwing up a stat line like this. It's not something we see very often, especially an 0 of 6 3-point night. I mean, that comes maybe once, twice a season max, and that's out of 82 games, so it's really, really rare to see Steph Curry play this poorly and shoot this poorly, but let's be honest here. He's a top 10 player of all time. He's going to bounce back from this. I don't think there's anything wrong with Steph Curry. I don't think there's anything that Golden State needs to be worrying about. I actually, when I was watching them against Serbia earlier this week, I did think he actually got banged up a little bit. He banged knees with one of the Serbian players down at the low block, kind of coming off a ball screen, and I thought he might have been hurt for a little bit. He was hobbling around but stayed in the game. So that's something to monitor, I guess, but nothing official has been reported about a Steph Curry injury. But definitely not doubting him. I mean, Steph Curry is the last person you want to doubt with the way that he's changed the game and the way that he's gone about his career. He's a top 10 player of all time, in my opinion, and I don't think this is something that needs to be really, harped on for the foreseeable future. He will bounce back very shortly here. They play again on Saturday. Here's what Steph Curry had to say about the performance. He said, "You're always annoyed for sure. You always want to make sure that you always want to make shots, but you can't let that rob you of all the other stuff that you have to do to help you win games. It's an interesting dynamic with this team because first half I only had 4 attempts and like 3 of them came in a minute and a half stretch, so you've got to be ready for your shots. I'm not even worried about it. Just a matter of taking the ones I know I can make and that the game calls for. I obviously want to shoot the ball well." I'm expecting a big-time bounce back from Steph Curry on Saturday. What's to say that he's not going to? I mean, we have such a large sample size of Steph Curry being one of the game's best shooters, the best shooter of all time, and one of the best point guards that's ever lived. I mean, you talk about Magic Johnson, you talk about Steph Curry, 1 and 2. No matter how you flip it, some people even got Steph above Magic. I might even be one of those people some days, but there's no reason to expect Steph Curry to continue to play this way and produce these numbers. I'm not even going to show you any type of other Steph Curry statistics because you know that he is the player that's not going to continue playing like this. It's just plain and simple. He's a bona fide, he's been the best player in the world before. He can be the best player on any given night. There's nothing to worry about here with Steph Curry. What's your confidence level in Steph for Team USA? Scale it for me 1 to 10 down in the comment section. Do you think he's going to bounce back in a big way, drop 4, 5 threes next game out? Type of 10. If you think he's going to continue these poor shooting performances, type of 1. That tells me you're not so confident in Steph. And that'll be it for today's edition of Warriors Today by Chat Sports. For consistent, informing, entertaining content about your Golden State Warriors, every news rumor update that you need about Steph, I was about to say Clay. That's crazy, right? YouTube.com/WarriorsTV to get the latest Golden State Warriors news and rumors. I'm Smitty. Let's go Dubs.